One thing with sports too is that when I walk, for instance, I try to walk with my muscles relaxed. I used to do that a lot when I was riding my bicycle to really notice my thigh muscles. So you can ride your bike with your thigh muscles tight, or you can ride it with your thigh muscles relaxed. And of course, we all know what happens when we have tight muscles. Blood doesn't get through, lymphatic stuff does. Yeah, there's nothing going on that's helpful by having tight muscles. The best thing is to have an active muscle and a relaxed muscle. You can keep the optimal blood flow and everything going. And the same with the breath. And we don't have to be moving to do that, but it's helpful when we're moving. One of the ways I really got my breath to be even was when I was walking, I would breathe in for 2 steps and breathe out for 2 steps, breathe in for two and out for two. And as I was doing that, I just was really focusing on the continuity of the breath and the smoothness of the breath and to find a comfortable pace. And after a while, that just like bad habits get installed in that superhighway in our system, so do good habits. And so that was one of the ways that I really worked with that. And when I'm doing these practices, certainly I'm engaging in my body. But when I'm also working, teaching a class or working with somebody individually or talking on the phone or whatever it is, I really try to stay in my body so that when I'm listening and I'm noticing, oh, I might notice that that had a thought response. But then I would also notice, oh, I noticed that my shoulders tightened a little bit right then. Or I noticed that I'm feeling kind of stressed or tight or I'm not breathing as smoothly. And our nervous system is always talking to us. So that's a good thing. And when we can really pay attention to that, what's my nervous system telling me? It gives us a whole other dimension of knowing ourselves and knowing what our reactions are. So the unconscious, the way that most people kind of move through the world is that we're not really aware of what our system is doing. What are the thoughts that are in response to this? Are my shoulders tightening? Do I have that clench in my gut? And so all we know is kind of a blanket. I don't feel right, or my body feels tight, or I feel stressed. When we do these mindfulness practices, we get to know ourselves on such an intimate level that long before we get to that, "Ugh, I'm stressed," where, oh, I notice my breath isn't as smooth. And then we could let it smooth out. Or I notice that right now I'm clenching my teeth. What's that about? So it's really getting to know our nervous system on this level and our body, our reactivity, what we react to. And we'll notice it the other way too when we're around certain people. We smile more, we're funnier, more creative, we feel safer. And so that's all good information to have. And, it really starts with developing the skill of mindfulness and knowing what's going on in our nervous system in a practice. Because we can't necessarily notice it when we're out in the world. Things are happening too fast. Lots of people are talking, or there's different threats coming in. But when we practice it here and then we take it out into the world, we really develop that skill. And so I'm not going to say that I'm 100% aware of what's going on in my body at every single moment. That would take a lot of focus. It's more of a background noticing. So if something changes, I'll notice that. And I'll notice it pretty quickly, maybe not right away, but pretty quickly. And I was really reminded when I lived out in the foothills of the mountains in Alberta, Western Canada, and we had lots of wildlife out there. There was grizzly bears, black bears, and moose and cougars. It was a wild place, which was amazing. But from the house, I'd walk by the window and I would see the field across from me, and I would notice something was different. I didn't notice what it was, but I noticed there was something different. And then I'd look a little bit closer and I go, "Oh, there's a moose over there," or in one case, there was a couple bear cubs playing in a tree, and I had to actually get the binoculars out to see what that was, but there was something about, this is the way it usually looks, and something's different, and my nervous system would go, "Hey, there's something different there," and then we can go in. So it's very much like that when we set ourselves the ongoing task of monitoring, kind of in a light way, what's changing can be very helpful. When we think about things, we're taking the signals from the nervous system, but we're turning them into thought. And that's a clumsy instrument. compared to the direct what's going on in our body, what we're seeing visually. We talk about gut instinct, but how would we know we have a gut instinct if our stomach is always tight? Then it can't really get that much tighter. Sometimes if we have a more relaxed body, then there's more of a change when something comes through. But also it's what we're paying attention to. I love this stuff.